must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you very much for watching Punchline Africa Television from the Political Command Center in London, wherever we are. Thank you very much. In the General Headquarters in Nairobi. Miriam, good afternoon.
A very good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to our viewers and our panelists.
Thank you very much. From Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, Dr. Severin Alute, a comrade, a Pan-African, a friend of mine. We have struggled together for Africa. Dr. Alute, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mashanga. Long time. How are you?
Habari yako ndugu mpenzi?
Salama kabisa, habari ya Nairobi.
Mzuri kabisa. Unakumbuka Kiswahili yangu ya zamani ya Musasani? Makati nilikuwa Musasani 78.
Iko vizuri.
Bado liko na ndugu yangu mpenzi hapo, Lieutenant General Muzuguri. Bado wako?
Muzuguri yupo.
Yes, yupo. Itakuja after Christmas or after Christmas itakuja. Lazima nimuone. Every time I go to Tanzania, I buy a few things and I go and I look at my commander, yes. General Muzuguri.
Yeah, familia yake ipo taikuta. Karibu.
Sawa. Asante sana. That is a man who nurtured me, so I'll always remember him. And I remember the good days when I was holding his briefcase. I never stole even 1 shilling. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Gerard Onyari, the chaplain of Punchline Africa TV, a chief mediator, a professor of theology, divinity. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Masanga, my fellow panelists, and our viewers from wherever they are around the world.
Thank you very much. From CBD Nairobi, Professor Onyari. Also from Nairobi in Kenya is none other than Advocate Kidi Mwaga, a lawyer by profession. Good afternoon, Kidi Mwaga.
Good afternoon, Daktari, and it's a pleasure to be on this show with you once again.
Yes, thank you very much. This show, my opinion, before Miriam gives us bottom line analysis. My opinion is our opinion, that's your opinion. Tanzania is a country that I love so much. It's a country that gave me the speech that I'm talking today. It's a country that Nyerere ordered troops to go and die on our behalf to remove a snake that was worth killing people in Uganda. It's a country, a united country, a country that has united itself out of conflict, whereas most of the East African states have conflicts, which Tanzanians call mavurugano. It's a country, stability. It's a country that has hosted the liberation movements. It's a country that has liberated Namibia, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Mozambique, Malawi. It's a country, Zambia. All this is a country that has hosted very many liberation organizations. Sahawari near Morocco, Biafra. Tanzania stood by Biafra. That's why Masanga stands by Biafra. Because I follow Mwalimu Julius Nyerere and Dr. Milton Obote and Jomo Kenyatta and Emperor Haile Selassie plus Kenneth Kaunda. They stood by Biafra. They said enough is enough. Tanzania has had 5 presidents so far. They had Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere. They had Mwinyi. They had Mkapa. They had Chikwete, my friend. I call him diplomat. Soft-spoken Chikwete, who calls me and says, Matanga, come here. I know you know something which we don't know now. Tell us. Thank you very much, President Chikwete. Then now we have a combative, operational, a good non-nonsense guy, a dancer. You can call him anything. He dances, he does exercises, he warms up, he eats maize, he eats everything. Tanzania, in short, is a country with very varying conditions. Tanzania is a united country with language. It's the only country in East Africa that speaks one language, no tribes. That's a credit. No tribes. If you ask a Tanzanian, my friend here, I have asked him several times and he tells me, where, Dr. Matsanga, what's your problem, man? I am a Tanzanian. I don't know what you're asking about. Up to now, I don't know the tribe of Dr. Alute. Yet we have been very, very good friends. I don't know. So Tanzania is a country that has got all the ingredients, all the solutions, all the things that Africa wants. A model of democracy. It has been. It started with socialism, with Jamaa villages. It removed, it allowed capitalism, injection of private capital coming into the country. In a nutshell, I've summarized for you what Tanzania is. It had a Jamaa village, it had a liberation attitude, it had a stand. Nyerere, once he said he has refused, he has refused. He told you he didn't want IMF and he did not want it. No World Bank, he did not want it. And he coined his people. Tanzania also, the final, it has a party that is one of the most powerful parties on this continent. And that party is CCM. Most of the old parties, like my party, Uganda People's Congress, which was Dr. Milton Obote party, have died and they remain with a few members like Matsanga still hanging on. And very far away, Museveni has chased us. We can't even talk much. So here we are. It's a country where we all sat and talked on how to liberate our country. I, Museveni, Oito Jok, the rest of us, Chikosi Marum, 208 KJ, and the TPDF officers who crossed over Kagera to come and root out a nyoka, a snake. Tanzania today also presents contradicting contradictions. It's the only country in Africa where masks are rarely worn. I don't know how doctor is surviving there, but we have to touch that COVID-19. We don't know. Doctor, now you are in the Salam, you will tell us exactly how the conditions are. Tanzania is also a good neighbor in both organizations, East African Community and the SADC. It's the only country in East Africa that has 2 legs. One leg in SADC, one leg in East Africa. And it is the only country in East Africa whose constitution, once you have a president elected and he has 150, whatever percentage he has won, you don't go to court to challenge. Are those not good facts, Miriam? Have I stolen your facts? I haven't seen your you have some more, but I have done my best. And to begin with, I want to introduce my colleague, Pan-African friend, Dr. Severin Alute. Dr. Alute, welcome to this punchline, to this show. Asante sana, karibu kabisa. nyumbani.
Thank you, Doctor.
So let's start. Miriam, lay the background. I've laid the background.
All right.
I want us to go to the elections. As far as we are concerned, there is one outstanding thing that has come out, everybody is talking about on social media.
All right, Doctor, we seem to be having a problem with a bit of your reception there. But before we get to that, Tanzania has for a long time been deemed as a haven of stability in East Africa. And so local right now and international observers says the country has been awaiting a crackdown on the opposition and freedom of speech under President John Pombe Magufuli. So yesterday, a total of some 29 million Tanzanians were expected to go and vote on yesterday's election for president and in mainland Tanzania and the semi-autonomous archipelago of Zimbabwe, as well as for lawmakers and local councillors. So before we even get to the rest of our panelists on this panel today, I want to hear from our guest there from Tanzania. What is your assessment of the elections that took place yesterday?
Thank you so much, Miriam. My personal assessment is that the election, first of all, there were a little bit of a low turnover. People, they did not turn, especially in Dar es Salaam. I've been around for comparing with the 2015 election. The turnout was high in comparing this yesterday election, and also, but the arrangement from the election arrangement was very good. I think the National Electoral Commission deployed equipment and polling items in the polling station, and they were good, and the number of people that they were deployed was very good. But voters, they did not turn, so we experienced lower voting. Also, there were some issues. There were some issues regarding the party agents. There were complaints about them prevented from entering the polling station. So there have been cases in many places in the country. And that the opposition is complaining about that. And they also, I have also learned that there were some other agents were not allowed because of they did not have letters from the Electoral Commission, or the people were supposed to write letter to introduce them to the polling station. So, in a nutshell, that was what happened yesterday. So we are not getting like people there. They are not coming out to elect their leaders. So, and also we have also experiences of like it's not coming out. Like when you have maybe 29 million people registered, but the turnout is maybe 50% of it. That is not good. Yeah.
So when you say that is not good, what does that mean? Because we know, like, we've been talking here with the doctor, and we've been looking at the elections that happened in Nigeria there, where the voter turnout was very low. And from the conversations we were having, even with Nigerians themselves, they were saying this is an indictment of, President Buhari, who was running for his second, term, which is the case here with President Magufuli. So you're saying compared to what is happening now and the voters turnout, it's so low compared to the 2015. That will be voter apathy, if I'm not wrong, or something close to that. What do you think could be the reasons as to why Tanzanians or part of Tanzanians fell? My voice does not even count in these elections.
There are a number of reasons. One could be pre-announcements before the election, where you too much of the say military or police announcements that maybe please, when you vote, go home, do this and this. So I think that could be a reason why people are not going to vote, because they are fearing of going there. Maybe they are fearing because of so maybe they will be violent or some sort. Yeah. So this could be one of the reasons. The other reason is that people, they don't see reason to vote. Yeah, that is key, because sometimes whenever people vote, they think that they're going to change something, but it's not happening. So they don't go out to vote because of that. They see their vote making no difference whether they vote or they don't vote. Mm-hmm. So that has been a reason, because I asked some of a few fellows yesterday, because I was looking their fingers, there no colors, there no ink. Mm-hmm. They say, why did you go? You are not voting. I said, okay, no, fine. I'm voting, but there is no change. Mm-hmm. The people I look to vote, but they are not the ones who have been announced, or they're winning the election. So mm-hmm. I don't want to go. Mm-hmm. So there could be petty reason, but the difference reason, and also the deployment of this police and military people is scaring voters. Mm-hmm. And we, maybe as African, we need to look at that. The best way to approach vote or elections before and after or during the election, we need to have a good approach to the people, so that we don't scare them to go to vote.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Professor, listening to what our guest there, Mr. Aluse from Tanzania, is telling us some of the reasons and his experiences there. So he saw the voter turnout yesterday, and he's saying he met a couple of Tanzanians who did not have, the ink to show that they voted, but they are of voting age, so they did not go out to vote. And perhaps in his sentiments there, he's saying perhaps some of these people thought, my voice does not count, or I voted before, and the person who's supposed to win, that did not happen because of whatever reason. And also the most important thing I got there is the deployment of military and police there in the streets. Do you think perhaps this is, I'm not saying that is what happened, perhaps this was a strategy by the government to instill fear in the people?
Miriam, thank you for that good question. And our comrade from Tanzania. Miriam, we have had a conversation on the elections in the continent of Africa, and sometimes you know the position I take. And what Dr. Masanga said, there should be no election, surely. Election is a process. It starts all the way on how you do registration and how you do civic education, and you get prepared. It's a process. It's not on the voting day. We have seen what has been going in Tanzania. The opposition are not allowed, and he has confirmed, to campaign freely. He has confirmed to us that some of the opposition people were not allowed to access the polling station, Miriam. And all this issue, violation of human rights, freedom, and even the shutting down of the internet, so that people don't use the social media to communicate. Africa Union is there. East African Community is there. SADC is there. And one of the things is to ensure that there is peace and security and rule of law and democracy. Those are what those institutions promote. Because if you don't promote human rights, you don't promote democracy, how do we come together? Miriam, I have been keenly watching the election of Tanzania. Sometimes the one for Zanzibar, you can see how sometimes they can be very chaotic and how they can beat people. And they have been getting away with it. Miriam, you can take people, all the people, for a ride, but not all the time. What do I want? Which case am I building? Which case am I building, Miriam? And I like using Kenya as a case study. If you don't allow people to practice democracy, this peace we talk about and security can be elusive at some point in time. 1998-88 in Kenya, during the Murorongo, the Q14, where the shortest queue was becoming the longest queue. That's where things started from Kenya, and we started going on, and we are going on. We hope that one day we shall be there. The way Tanzania behaves, yes, they talk about democracy, multi-party democracy, but in really essence, they are a one-party regime because they did not change the institutions of one-party regime. So sometimes they don't. They said, okay, many parties, but in terms of institutions, in terms of the The way they do their things is the structures are for one party regime, and when you challenge, you get a beating of the edges.
So there is a problem there with the
so I know there is a problem on that. There is a problem on that. They are behaving as if they are with that one party regime mentality.
Okay, Professor, I'll come back to you. Yes.
Time, Miriam. And with time, we wish them they do it peacefully, but the time for them to start having reforms, to talk with one another. Tanzania belongs to all of them. How I pray that they go back and see how Mwalimu managed to bring them together. And they cannot survive on that goodwill of Mwalimu. They must continue embracing each other. Go for an election. Let us compete. Let the winner win. That is all. But you cannot tie others their hands and you say that we are playing football and you are the referee, you are everything else.
And
Thank
the
you.
elections are peaceful. Thank you so much there, Professor. And I understand. So we've been told elections went very well and they're peaceful. There's a place I know that peaceful elections happen, and that will be South Africa, where I did not see military deployed in the streets, nor the police. People voted and went their way, and whatever happened, happened. So with the military in the streets and the police in the streets, and yesterday, Chadema chairperson Freeman Mbote also tweeted that his life is in danger. I mean, Kidi, Tanzania, are we seeing more than meet the eye?
Well, I want to reiterate the timeless words of Professor Nyari that election is not an event. Election is a process, and in constitutional law, when a process is flawed, then definitely the result is flawed. A flawed process cannot give rise to a result that can be upheld. There is a feeling that there is high-handedness in Tanzania because, one, we've heard of media houses being shut by the government. We've had a use of excessive force on political opponents, which of course are all worrying indicators. When we couple this with low voter turnout, then you get a picture of a very worrying situation. Worrying because it therefore means that the government of the day will not enjoy genuine legitimacy of the people. The sovereign power of the people is not given by anyone. It is inherent right. And then it is in their inherent power that they put up the constitution, and therefore through the constitution, then they donate that sovereign power to the elected representatives. So that if one of the political players then uses or appear to be using advantage of incumbency to beat to pulp anyone of contrary opinion, then it is usually the beginning of a steep decline towards lawless anarchy, because at some point when the people, there is what we call the resilience of the people. When the people say that we can stay back for the interest of the country, but when you push the people to the wall, they can then erupt. So that it is incumbent upon the people of Tanzania to make sure that the people feel represented and engaged in these processes, so that they can then continue thriving on the good name that they got from Mwalimu of being a one unified country. Thank you, Miriam.
Right, thank you, Karanja. Karanja?
Thank you, Miriam.
Professor Daktari wants to talk.
I'll come to Daktari, but I'd like to hear from Karanja, then we can come back to Daktari. Karanja, everything else that we've been saying here, the situation there, of course, Dr. Severin Alute is giving us, the situation. He is in Dar es Salaam, so he's told us things went very well, but also raised a couple of issues in regards to the elections that happened yesterday. And we've been talking about Tanzania. We did talk about Tanzania yesterday, and we've been following some of these elections. Of course, right now it's very difficult to know what is happening there, but we have, I think, a doctor here, and so you'll tell us about it. But from what you've been hearing from the rest of the panelists, what do you make of the elections that happened yesterday in Tanzania, Karanja?
Okay, thank you very much. And first of all, election is a process that takes time. And I think what the people of Tanzania are lacking is transparency and having trust in the process of the election. And I think that is why the number of voters was not high as expected. And I think as the electioneering body, even in our African country, they should make it look like something that is trustworthy, something that wins the public eye, so that when the information that goes to the public should be information that this election will be fair, credible, and verifiable. I think that is the case. Because when that thing lacks in the process, the people will lack faith in that process, and they feel like whether we vote or not, nothing will change. That is the situation, and that is what is affecting our African countries. And I think the people of Tanzania, they have been denied a very good, they have been denied some essential freedom that ensures that they have good leaders. When they start even closing the social media and ensuring that the media there is not is crippled, is not working to serve the interests of the people. You know, the media is what gives information to the people. It is a voice to the voiceless. It is a link between the government and its people. And when that lacks, these things start erupting. The people of Tanzania and the people of Africa country where such things happen, they feel underrepresented, and that is why they don't even see the need of voting. I think what we could do, and as African country we can do, is to make this process fair. And before even the election, we make the process of that, even ensuring that we have credible commissioners in the election-hearing body. We have the process of registering voters. And more so, we use these technological, scientific things that will ensure that this election, it will be hard to be rigged. I think that is where we need to go, so that people will not have this mentality that whether we vote or not, this election, nothing will change. And in the case of Tanzania, they have one dominant political party. I think the best they can do is to form other big political party that will reflect the needs of those people who feel underrepresented. And they can do that by having another concrete political party that will face off with the CCM and in this time going forward, so that, because if they had another political players that would be hard to be intimidated, then they could have given that political outfit a run for the Yamani. Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you so much. And Doctor, some issues there that were raised before there, and of course the fact that compared to 2015, there's a very low voters turnout. When a citizen sits down and thinks, you know what, my voice, even if I go cast my vote, and that is my voice, I will be saying what I want and who I want to lead me, does not seem to count. What are the dangers of citizens feeling as if though their voice does not count in a country? Doctor?
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I would like most of you on the panel to take some notes. What makes a citizen vote and not vote? Voter apathy. What creates voter apathy? People are fed up. People are fed up. They don't have value. There's no value for your vote. There's no value for waking up. Point number 2. Have you ever heard of a word called gerrymandering?
You introduced me to that word,
yes,
Doctor.
All students, because you see this program of ours, Daktari Saviren and the professor, we help students outside there who are watching. Gerrymandering is a very dangerous word. And it is one of the most deadly tactics used mostly in Uganda, for example, the NRM, and the other parties. I don't know about CCM. Prof will tell us, Doctor will tell me. But I think it also uses gerrymandering. In Uganda, for example, the constituency, urban constituencies have a population of about 300,000 people. One constituency. How do you bribe that? Rural constituencies. You see, in Uganda, rural constituencies have 5, 10, 6,000, and they have been given constituencies equivalent to you. So Dr. BSJ and all these quacks, these ones running around, they don't see because they never studied political science. I cannot enter an election of that nature where a constituency in Moroto has 7,000 voters and the government can carry a briefcase of money and give them, all of them pay, and leave you with urban constituency with 125,000 people per constituency in urban area. Believe me or not, in Dar es Salaam, this man will tell you it is the same thing there. The urban constituency in Dar es Salaam is higher in population. Am I wrong? The population is higher. The rural population is lower. President Museveni in Uganda wins elections not because he's popular, but because he gerrymanders. He has gerrymandered the election. So like now, before we reach 12th of January, it's over, finito. Yeah? It is a matter of coming to declare the winner, because you, for example, and Professor and Dr. Severin Kidi and Miriam Karanja, listen to this. Museveni flies to go and address the rally. Then you are driving by car to address the rally. Karamoja is very far from Kampala. Somewhere in Karamoja, between Kampala, some bandits shoot cars and they say there was a robbery. So when you hear there was a robbery, will you go on a campaign there? You don't. How will you go to Karamoja? So the president has gone to Karamoja. He has even, there are 6-7 Karamoja constituencies have a population of 10,000, 80,000. There are 10, and he has cut them. Gerrymandering also means cutting this to too many constituencies to get the overall 2/3 needed in the parliament. Have you seen that? Uganda, we have almost 500 now, almost 520 seats of small counties, and mostly in area where he can win without. Boss, you can't go there with a red color like yours behind there. Utakulwa, watakukura kabisa, they will eat you. So he has gerrymandered. Now the point in Tanzania is that, and doctor will tell us whether there is constituency demarcation. In Uganda's constituency demarcation has never been done since 2016. Honestly. So we are going in the same trap. You call that an election? We are preparing an inferno. Tanzania, the same. The doctor here has told you the constitution kwanza in Tanzania does not allow you as a candidate of presidents to make a petition against Magufuli when he has won. Then where's democracy? No, imniambie wapi democracy hapo? A man, even if he beat, you know, even if President Magufuli beats Lusu, what is the man, the leader of Chadema is called Lusu?
Tundu Lissu.
Yes. Even if he beats him and drags him in the streets of Dar es Salaam or Mtwara or Ruvuma or Nachingwea, You know, that is my area of operation those days, daktari. Your area yangu ya gorilla activities. You know, even if he beats them there, nobody is going to make a noise. You know why? There is nowhere to complain. The High Court is sealed. You can complain as an MP, but you cannot complain on presidential petition.
Yeah.
That is the most significant factor on the Tanzanian election.
And I want us to talk about that, yes.
Now, Miriam, before we talk, you know, now I'm even reaching the real subject. That's why I'm sweating like a Reverend Chiuna. You know, you know, when it comes to that, and I want to put the matter to the doctor here, it could be why Tanzania is stable. It's because of that constitution. I want you to flip the other wing of the coin, Kidi and the Prof. Is indeed stable because they don't, given that in Kenya, it is like a suicide. In fact, Kenyan presidential election is a suicide bomber. If in Kenya, people are not bothered about becoming MPs, where are we bothered most? The president. So Tanzania, and in the wise words of Nyerere, he saw that hii itagawanya watu. They put that caveat. Once you have been defeated, you go and become the leader of opposition. Isn't it what Kenya is looking for now?
I'm not sure. But as Doctor, you put it there.
Miriam,
yes.
Don't just dismiss it and say, I'm not sure. Exactly. The leader, if you have been defeated in the presidential
but in our constitution, you can contest the results of the presidency.
I flipped.
Yes.
You have not understood me. I have flipped on the other coin. You can't complain in Tanzania. But then can we give a credit that by maybe because of this constitution of not people arguing over the presidential results, they have stabilized. That is what I'm to open up the argument for all of us to start professor to disagree or agree. Me, I am just bringing an argument to say.
Yes.
Finally, my closing remarks.
We are not closing yet, Doctor. I still want you to respond to some questions.
Submission.
Yes.
Round number one. It is very serious that all the younger MPs of Chadema have been flawed. Is a tactic used by Communist Party. You don't concentrate you don't concentrate in areas that you don't like. You know very well what has happened to all these younger, vibrant Chadema younger men. They have lost seats. And what Magufuli did was to focus all the outspoken Chadema people down. Outspoken down. He has finished them. I've already got the results. They are coming in here. And which you have received in Dar es Salaam. Am I wrong? Most of the Chadema guys are fraud. So that's also a tactic used by this pseudo communist capitalist katikati hapo. Tuko hapa tunakula hapa lakini tunataka hii ya China in the middle. So those are areas which make the turn up which Dr. Sereveni said was low. Gerrymandering, tactics used, threats, intimidation, lack of civic education, trumped up charges, harassment, drawing to court, You know, some people are winning their seats from prison. Now, which way Tanzania? I can see a letter from the lawyers, the same lawyers who represent Bob Wine in Kampala are the same lawyers who are representing Chadema in Tanzania. Jermaine, one point I want to make, Miriam, I think I will be a prophet. Didn't I tell you? I told you on this program, Miriam, there is George Soros everywhere planting chaos. Chadema is represented by one of the most deadly lawyers on earth. Amsterdam. Luckily enough, he's on my side and I'm on his side. But he can eat you. So Tanzania should prepare itself to be eaten. Where Commonwealth, where international courts, mutapata shida. Huyo mjamaa is George Soros direct. So the letter is even there. Jeff,
I do have the letter and we shall look at it, but I just wanted us to look at this issue, Doctor, that you brought up, and we know that results declared by the Electoral Commission cannot be challenged in court there in Tanzania. Dr. Alute, I don't know, what do you think the makers of the Constitution then envisioned, and what, from your standpoint, are the disadvantages and perhaps an advantage to this law?
Yeah, the only presidential position is not petitioned, but the rest, you can petition. Yeah, the advantage is that maybe, although the opposition will not be happy, but it a little bit, as Dr. Mashanga said, it can stabilize the situation. But although people will not be happy, because if the election is rigged, and if you have evidence for that, it gives disadvantage to the people who the election has been stolen. That is the disadvantage of that. The other thing is that it will take time. If you petition president, maybe you might end up without having, with extension of a president. Like, for instance, Magufuli's tenure is to end this October. But if you petition, maybe the case will take time, maybe 6 months later, and you continue having the same president. Maybe he not win the election, but you have him in power. So we don't have many people in Tanzania. They see this as something that need to be taken out. We need to petition our process, like as other people they just contributed. Our electoral process is not transparent enough, and it gives the incumbent advantage of having all the process. Like, if you are in opposition, you cannot access some of the things, where the president is appointing like all officers of the Electoral Commission, and also the people who they oversee the election in the regions and the district as well. So they have advantage. So our Electoral Commission is not free, is not independent to oversee the election in our country. So we needed to have a process like many others also contributed. We needed to not just this event, like we call it a 5 years ritual. We needed to have a process where this process can be trusted with all people, so that we can have a free and credible election. This one, you may say it was an election, but to attest if it was a credible election, that is questionable. And also it also contributed by also shut down the internet. So if the process is fair, why are you turning down the internet? So there are so many questions around.
Thank you. Yes, around that you feel needs to be changed there. Professor, a couple of issues that Dr. Lute have brought up. Of course, the credibility of even the Electoral Commission there in Tanzania. And you say they're not really independent. The government has an upper hand and sometimes very high-handed when it comes to influencing the Electoral Commission there. And so if the referee there is already leaning towards one side or has bias towards one side, and my side has been aggrieved, and yet I cannot go to court to challenge this law.
Miriam,
is it serving the people of Tanzania?
It is good for us to have comparative analysis on what happens elsewhere. And let me just use Kenya as a case study. In 2007, 2008, the opposition did not trust the courts. And when they did not trust the courts, they took matters to their hands, and you know what happened. You can see Dr. has posed a very question that if you close the internet, if you don't allow people to campaign freely, if you curtail the freedom of the media, even the international journalists, when they interview, the government person has to be there.
Oh, first of all, they were denied. Even Al Jazeera was denied the access.
So, do you want to tell that people that will be free and fair, credible elections?
Denied. And
then you go and you announce yourself, and you tell people now that they cannot go to court? Miriam, I can give you for free, you will go to the bank and you will get money. And the worst mistake he has done here, this Miriam, that those Chadema young members of parliament who are very vocal, you have shut them out. Where are they going to do their politics and their politicians? You rather allow them to be in the house of in parliament so you can exchange. So this is how a movement will be built, and eventually it will be it will cause problem to Tanzania. So what is this, Miriam? A law which is autocratic, which is not fair. There's a right to disobey that kind of law. The advocate Kidi will concur with me.
Yes.
That now you go and rig yourself. We can't go for court, and then we sit down. Miriam, those are animals which can do that one, but not human beings. But this is my presentation, Miriam. That you add Sadak saying that they will not go to supervise and see, even to observe.
Sadak will do it virtually.
Yeah, virtually. I don't.
They're observing. I don't know how that happens. That's a mess.
Miriam, what is the? I'm sure, Miriam, the internet connectivity in Tanzania is not much as in Kenya.
No.
Dr. will confirm to us. So there are some remote areas where they cannot be able to observe.
Like, how many people do you need? And Tanzania is a very big country compared even to Kenya. Like, how many virtual?
And remember this. Even the people who can be able to communicate with them, you have shut down the internet. So, Miriam, there is no word, and that did not just come from my mouth. The events surrounding the elections in Uganda and in Tanzania depicts that the elections have already been rigged in much in advance. So it is the choice of the people of Tanzania to live with it. But at the beginning, the channel for reforming their country has begun, and the seeds have been planted by the same government, by the electoral commissions. And the time will tell what I'm just submitting. Thank you.
All right. So we know many journalists from foreign media houses, including, a media house like Al Jazeera, were not able to obtain accreditation to cover the elections, while major social media networks are also blocked, accessible only through virtual private networks. And even after the government discovered that, they went and they tried to block the virtual private networks. Meanwhile, major independent observers such as European Union,
my sister.
European Union was also not invited or
yes,
bad.
my sister.
Yes.
does the European Union invite do you observe elections in Norway?
We ask for their money. That's why they think they have a right to come and observe our elections.
we-
But I'm just saying,
also,
even
as we,
I don't want us to
you
go
know
that
why
way. I just want us to stick to.
I want us to have an argument here.
Yes, because now
Let's
that
not-
we'll go at totally different truth.
Condemn.
Yes.
Let's not only condemn.
Yes.
Let's have an argument. The truth, Miriam, is European Union does not invite Kenya
All
to
right.
go and observe the election.
So SADC also did not show up. East African Community also is not observing. So let's look at the local, then the regional blocks.
Yeah, because they
Forget
bring
European
gossip.
Union. Huh? But
They
your
bring,
part-
yes, they bring gossip.
Doctor.
Some countries bring gossip. Some countries bring gossip. No, let's be very honest. Look at the observers who come here in Nairobi.
You know, that's what Harvey said
No,
on the judiciary.
Let's have an argument. Please, Jermaine, let's have both sides to balance. A woman collected from a town council in Kenya, in London, because she works in the parliament, say, oh, you will be on the panel going to Africa to observe elections. She comes to Kenya and she thinks River Nile is in Cairo.
It is.
The source of River Nile is in Cairo, not in Lake Victoria. No, let's go. She's not, the people observing these elections are not from European Union, are not the caliber of Professor Onyari or Dr. Savereni or Miriam or Kidi. These are people with 1 degree of social science, and then he's put to come and observe we Africans. On that one, I'll stand with Magufuli.
But why couldn't SADC do it?
No,
Why
wait,
could
wait.
East African Community do
This is
it?
my point. I'll stand with Magufuli on that. Or blocking them, because some of them are gossipers. They gossip instead of writing the truth. They gossip. Al Jazeera gossips. Thank you very much for blocking them. Al Jazeera brought war in Kibera. You know, in 2007, Muhammad Ador. Do you remember Muhammad Ador? He inflamed this country until Mukyuki had to call me that brings Sky News here. That's how I ended up in Kenyan situation here. I had to come with Sky News to counter Al Jazeera. So some of these things, don't blame also the government wholly. The government has interests. Their people have been united for a long time. And if you are allowing in people who are coming to divide, I'm not saying I'm defending Magufuli. I am defending some things practically which I've seen. A country which is stable is finished by elections. Zimbabwe, I witnessed this with my eyes in 2002. I was an independent observer, given a badge. I've even got those badges in my house. Honestly, MDC lost. Mugabe did not steal. But what did the Commonwealth write? A report, sexed, doctored, to say MDC won, Changarai won the election, Mugabe stole the election. That country has never come back to where it is immediately.
But if President Magufuli had
Foreign
confidence,
observers
yes,
also play a part. My question now, the foreign media and observers play a part in the disintegration of our election and the systems in Africa.
but if President Magufuli, Doctor, had confidence in his win, why deploy the military? Why the heavy presence of these people in the streets there? Why close the social media outlets? Why close some media houses in Tanzania? Why this intimidation? Kiddy, help me understand.
You know that every country in the world is closing media. Why has Trump closed the
Trump is a special case. Let's not even talk about it.
This is the democracy of America, where you all copy and we fly there every day. When you hear you are going to America, you can even tell the whole village. No, the whole village, I'm going to America, the whole country. It has a chest.
Miriam,
Even opposition observers in the country were chased away from certain polling stations in the country, not from outside. So, Kidi, what do you? I don't. Yeah, what do you make of that?
I know when it comes to Tanzania,
Doctor,
we work a motto, but
yes.
I will also defend where is possible.
Yes.
And at times not defend, because the manner of chasing local observers is not very good.
From other opposition parties. So, Kitty, you
yes. He should have allowed local observers. But this Wazungu with jeans and one shirt throughout the week, don't allow them to come there.
William, let me say this before as a preface, that I agree with Daktari in his defense of Magufuli, because we have a Swahili saying that mgala muue na haki mpe. Kwa hivyo anampa Magufuli haki yake. Well, in response to your question on why there is harassment of the media, I will say that I will reiterate the words of Winston Churchill, that democracy is the worst form of government, save for all the others. That democracy, in spite of all its weaknesses, is the best form of government, because, but then you realize that democracy works with certain presuppositions. One of such presuppositions is a free press. So that the moment we begin to annihilate the free press, we begin to see a decline in democracy. But then I want us to appreciate this fact into context, that the past 3-4 years have been difficult years for democratic governments and democratic institutions and people who believe in democracy around the world. First, with the election of the rise of what we call the far-right regimes across the world. One of such far-right regimes is Donald Trump. The other one is the emergence of Putin. Closer home, we have our brother Ndugu Pombe Magufuli. One thing about far-right regimes is that they are inward-looking. And when I say inward-looking, it means that they are more keen on self-preservation. These are regimes that can do anything and everything to stay and capture power. The other thing about far-right regimes is that they thrive in what we call autocratic legalism. In autocratic legalism, this is when after they rise to power, then they use their charisma to dismantle what we call constitutional safeguards.
Yes.
So that, for instance, in the case of Tanzania, a free press is what we call a democratic imperative, something that should be there for democracy to function. But then you see that there is already threatening the press by closing one, media houses, 2, denying them opportunity to be there on the ground to hold the government accountable. So that is the state of affairs in Tanzania, because we are dealing with a far-right regime. Thank you.
Kitty, thank you so much for that explanation and for helping us understand from the legal standpoint. Karanja, even the opposition, yes.
William, also our views are very good.
Yes.
Look here, my views are very good.
Yes, sir, excellent. Doctor, yes, sir, excellent. But I'll come to you later. I want to hear from Karanja.
Autocratic dismantling of constitutional apparatus.
Yes.
It will be very useful to maintaining national unity.
Fantastic. Very well.
No, honestly. Look at Tanzania. Tanzania has never had a war. 1971, we ran to Tanzania. 1975, we ran to Tanzania.
It has been a very stable country in the region.
But why don't you allow me to develop my point?
I'll come to you. I just want to go to Karanja first, then I'll come back to you.
The dismantling of the state, pick that point,
yes,
could be autocratically, as the lawyer has put it,
yes,
very good for Tanzania, because there's stability. What is Uhuru looking for here in Kenya? Stability. Hana stability hapa. Hataki kuwacha nchi kama iko kwa mavurugano. Jamani, wacha tuzungumze Kiswahili nao. Our viewers wale hataki kuwacha nchi kama iko na mavurugano.
Rais mwenyewe alisema Kenya ni open society. Sasa kama yeye mwenyewe amesema Kenya ni open society, alafu sasa
haya sawa.
Okay.
Sawa, wacha Karanja akuje kwanza.
Doctor.
Okay.
All right, Karanja, come on.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think you already asked the question. And Daktari from Tanzania was telling us that in Tanzania, you cannot contest the presidential results.
That is the constitution, yes.
Daktari, okay, and Dr. Masanga was in agreement that it is good for the stability of the nation. For me, I quite disagree, because I think when you have that kind that you cannot contest the presidential election, then you leave gap for the incumbency to do everything they want to, because at the end of the day, nobody will challenge their victory. And that is why they have these loopholes to create a process that is not fair, a process that is not transparent. Because at the end of the day, they know whether we get this power through rigged election or not, nobody will go there to contest. And I agree that in Kenya, we are democratic and we thrive well, because if you feel dissatisfied, you can go for the Supreme Court. We know what happened in 2017 when the presidential election was nullified. And at the end of the day, the process, we understood the problem that was affecting the IBC. This gives room for more improvement in future. Now we know, going to 2022, we know the areas that we must improve on. But if we didn't go to Supreme Court, maybe we could not know those irregularities and the legalities that were involved in that election. That is why I agree that we need to contest these things so that we grow our democratic space. Because if we allow one person who cannot be challenged, and I think even the Supreme Court decision need to have somebody who can challenge them, not at they be the final, so that we grow all the institutions all together. We grow the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature are moving on, and that is the case that Tanzania should have. Because now that is why Magufuli has this kind of chance-dumping character, because at the end of the day, he knows the Chandema, whether they lose or win, nobody will challenge them, and I agree with that. And on the issue that Wakili was talking about of the media, I think media should be independent. The media code and ethics should be practiced in Tanzania, so that the media can practice following their ethics and code of conduct, so that they will be not intimidated, but they can do their work transparently without government involvement. This is what was happening in the dark days of Moi, where the media was only praising the government of the day without telling what the ill is affecting the people, what the government is going wrong. I think the Tanzanians, maybe they are silent and they don't erupt as Kenyans do, because they don't know what is not well, because there is nobody to tell them this is what the government is doing, this is where the money is being lost. That is why they are silent, because if they have somebody who can tell them, and the other person who can do that is the opposition, and the opposition is intimidated. That is why I agree, we need to have a vibrant opposition, a vibrant media that will tell people this is what is not happening, so that these people will know that this is where we are going wrong and this is where we are going right. I submit, Miriam. Thank you.
All right, Professor. Kule Tanzania, hakuna safeguards for democracy. There's no free media.
But Professor has already spoken.
Not yet on this one.
Yeah.
It was Dr. Alute, and then Doctor, I'm coming to you. I know you have a lot, but Professor, safeguards, no, hakuna safeguards. This is a very dangerous road to drive in democracy there in Tanzania. No safeguards. Professor.
Mute, unmute.
Okay, I'm on. You know, it began way back where there were kind of a crackdown of media and the opposition. So it was kind of thing that was created to this kind of intimidation was started way back. But it all depends with the awareness of the media themselves and the people. Whenever happen, what action they should take. There were some kind of laws that were enacted to kind of crack some of the media houses. We know this will happen. So I can agree with the Kidi that the kind of leadership that we have today and how they operate politically in Tanzania, we with the exception of other things that are very good, this freedom of expression in Tanzania is kind of there is kind of crackdown to the media. And also, you ask about the safeguard, democracy safeguard. If the process is not fair, as it's seen by many, then that is a problem. Yeah, it should be seen by many that this process is credible. So, if many people there, in opinion that this process is not credible, then we have a problem. We need to have an alternative. If the alternative is not to go to the High Court, then what else do we have in case it happens that we needed to petition our leaders that we're not happy with either election result or anything? What we should do? We needed to have that kind of alternative. If it's not High Court or any kind of a process where we will attest the credibility of election, if in the case of election. But if the people do not have those kind of a process, then we have a problem. Then if I'm not happy, I should get some compensation of me being not happy because the process was not good. I should be compensated in some way, but that compensation is not there. That is a problem. We have a problem. We have to admit that we have a problem. We need to address it. Whether we address it by Western style or by African style, that is an issue. So we need to have a kind of a process that Tanzania will trust it. Then whenever issues happen, they know this is how we'll address this situation and to get our process credible and independent.
Thank you so much.
You.
Professor, are you back?
Yeah. Professor is going, so let him take.
Yes, so the democratic safeguards there are not there in Tanzania, so it is a very dangerous road, a path as it is. And listening to Dr. Alute there, you're saying, okay, fine. So there should be some avenue, there should be some alternative or some form of redress if some section of the citizens in Tanzania feel, no, I need to challenge this process, or I don't feel this process was free and fair. There should be some avenue of some sort where people can actually go and address that matter. What do you think will be the alternative outside of changing this section of the Constitution? Is it about time?
Thank you for that question. How did the agitation for the African independence start? They started to take the African young men to go and fight the war, Third World War, which has got nothing to do with Africa. But when they came back, the agitation for democracy, for independence started. They saw that a white man can be shot and we die that. Severinas agreed that there is a problem in Uganda, in Tanzania, and when they seem not to be, the elections seem not to be free, fair, and credible. They are not living in an island of their own Miriam. They know, the world has become a global village, Miriam. The world of the social media, which can go like push fire. So what I'm trying to say, if there is a problem and if there is no mechanism of involving people, of informing people, of allowing people to participate, Miriam, they can use the alternative which other parts of the world have been used and people have achieved their outcome. I have said, and Dr. Masanga did say that you can take people for granted for some time, Miriam, but not all the time. The fact that serious young men of Chadema have been rigged out, you have said the international media, the internet, and nobody will observe those elections. Miriam, you can go and announce yourself, and yes, Magufuli will escape for another 5 years. But the seeds of discontent have been planted in Tanzania. And the ball has started rolling. It will continue gathering momentum until you may never like it. So what I want to say that let them just have the election, let them just relax, but let them start having a conversation. Perhaps changing some of those kind of autocratic laws of saying that you cannot challenge this. And I feel for my recommendation is for the people of Tanzania is please try to look in your constitution and maybe start amending on it. So that's when we can be able to talk about that kind of democracy. That's what in Kenya we did in 1992. President Moi removed Section 2A, but the institutions of can remain, and then we started agitation of changing the constitution. And the Miriam, it took us 20 good years. So we are comrades. We believe in the struggle. The struggle is on until Africa will learn to have peaceful elections, credible, fair, and trying to do things by the rules. That's how I look at Africa, and that's Africa I admire, that there is no need to kill each other during the election or to cling to power for no apparent reason. People gives you power to rule them. You don't force yourself to people. Sometimes they can come and grab their power back. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor. Doctor.
Professor, before you leave, Reverend Jesse Jackson, in 1978, when addressing Democratic National Congress, said, and I quote, that when you see darkness approaching, it means dawn is coming. Only tough people can beat darkness, but men don't succumb to darkness. End quote. Today, I challenge you, all of you. Yes, the obstacles of Tanzania are similar obstacles across Africa. In Ivory Coast, the president is standing alone. Alone! The opposition party there through Babugo. You remember Babugo is my friend. Dr. Sete, you remember how many letters we wrote about Babugo, you and me. We wrote so many letters to get Babugo out of jail.
Yeah.
I sent an email and a WhatsApp to Babugo. I said, why don't you tell those people to keep off? As I speak to you right now, breaking news coming from Tanzania is this, and I want to read it to you so that you don't say I am talking rubbish. Breaking news says, Tanzanian opposition leader, candidate Tundu Lissu, rejects the polls results, citing fraud, calls on all envoys accredited to Tanzania, not to accept the figures from the electoral agency. So we have set a stage for a war, a confrontation. Therefore, it brings me to my question, which I ask Miriam every day. The Miriam, Professor,
We do need elections.
Maybe. Yeah, every day I ask. Everybody runs away from me.
We do need elections, Doc.
Do we need elections in Africa?
I am to say no.
Now these ones of Tanzania, isn't this a stage for slaughter? animal. The man has just told you he's in Dar es Salaam. He's not in Kenya, Nairobi. He's in Dar es Salaam. He has just told you there are military outside in the streets, patrolling the streets. Isn't it a slaughter? Do we need elections in Africa? Does China hold elections? Leaving that, I want to give a clue to election. Agree. I am a man who believes in democracy. And Plato did not tell you democracy should have an election. Where? You show me where. Professor, you read the books, go show me. And this lawyer man here, you tell me where they said you should be having elections every day. Where is it written? It is we people who invented this thing called elections. Bazungu here in England. Wanakuja na hii kitu wanasema 5-year plan, because every 5-year plan, the human being, when you trust nuclear weapon, you run mad. Did you know why 5 years came? 5 years came because a prime minister in Britain is holding a nuclear weapon that can kill the whole world. And every time he sleeps, he must make sure the button is working. That's when they came here, they told us for you to plan very well. Every leader can go 5, 10 years, 2 terms. Nana aliwaambia, show me any book that is written by Aristotle, which says 10 years, 2 terms. Where? Mlileta kutoka wapi? You Africans again. 2, you Africans, you have a problem. Why don't you boycott? Why? Me, if I know, this is what I told Besigye. I picked a phone and I called Besigye. Sorry, my saliva is coming down. I picked a phone and I told Besigye, if you ever try to take part in this election, then you are not a Democrat. Leave it. We are veterans. We have been there struggling for freedom for the people of our country. But you don't take part. Don't be blamed. Wewe, so nyenye, wacha kurudi kwa Kiswahili. Nyenye sasa unasema Lundi, it is, what is his name? How far is he going to go? Already, the lawyer that Mr. Ludu has used has betrayed him. Watanzania watasema hii pesa za George Soros. Umeona? What did that George Soros advocate for? Same sex. Yeah? Magufuli won elections, is standing on that. Am I wrong, sir? Anasema wazungu wanataka kutuletea sisi kitu. Yeah. Professor Gerard, don't run away, because I want you to get my facts very clear. And Miriam, I am with you. I want democracy. But do we need democracy? Look at Ivory Coast. Surely, Ouattara is alone. He's going to stand alone on the 31st. In fact, he's going to be the look down in Rwanda. The guy got 99.999. Look at my country. Scientific election. Miriam, you did some science in physics. Can you do science without sulfuric acid?
And Doctor, also in Rwanda, I think they were looking for a constitutional review, and the president said out of the whole Rwanda, only 6 people Rwandese said they did not need any constitutional changes. Only 6 people in the whole of Rwanda said they did not need.
On Rwanda?
Yeah, said they wanted constitutional changes.
Who are you to say we want it? The evening, the special police will be at your door.
So the whole of Rwanda, only 6 people need a constitutional change, but that is a story for another day.
So in summary,
yes.
In summary, my sister and our guest from Dar es Salaam, Africa needs to think about elections. Do we really need elections? And what type of elections do we want? That's the most key underlining word. What type of elections? Do you want an election that produces bloodshed with the military waiting in a Kilimanjaro hotel? Is it called now Hayat? They are surrounding there. Where uko karibu na Hayat hapo Kilimanjaro?
Yes, niko Chombani.
They are there. I know that is my hotel. When I go, I don't sleep in small hotels. So then people steal my goods. See, look, Medium, they are patrolling everywhere. You have already prepared a journey for a fight. Do you need elections? My Uganda, does it need elections? A scientific election in COVID-19, where the police is supervising the posters of His Excellency being erected, and another police squadron is also demolishing this Kasimoro boy. What is his name? Kasimoro. This is a small boy. When they beat him, at least I feel sympathy, because they would beat me because I have meat. This small boy called Bob Wine, his poster is being removed. You tell me, is that going to be an election? So does Africa need an election? I don't think it does. Africa needs to go back to a drawing table. China has no MP. We have MPs who guzzle our money. The lawyer is here, can tell me that every term, end of term, the MPs are increasing their money. The one of Kenya, they are the highest hyenas. They want to increase more before they leave. But China has no MP. But China lends us money now. Very good money lent to us. There is no MP in China. I've looked for one. Honorable Chung Wen Kwek. I have. They only select a few people, good ones, and bring them. So Tanzania should also, as I agree with my land friend, Dr. Severin, that time has come for you to do a constitutional review that will enable you to have a full-scaled democracy where you can challenge the results. Mr. Lundu is going to stop shouting on BBC, but he won't go to a court. And guess what? Bazungu are going to attend the ceremony, the swearing-in ceremony. Isn't it? And they forget. After that, they can only give you medical and a visa to go. But after that, they say, no, we are now, we don't want you to disturb our business. Ask me. Ask me.
That's true.
I have been there. Miriam, your uncle here has been there. I've been there, Mama. They gave us the BBC to harass Museveni every evening. And Dr. Saverin, you used to hear me on BBC. One day they turned on us and they said, now if we find you ever in this studio, talking about Museveni from here. And he said, what? From that day, for me, those guys, I don't take them serious. So don't kill your country because the West have said, do this. 2, Chadema was relying on George Soros' money. Me, I speak the truth. And that George Soros' money is flowing. The exhibit is Amsterdam, Lawyer Amsterdam. Mumefungwa, you have Magufuli, you know what? Magufuli is gonna use that. Now atasema iko iko dark forces, mashetani wanatoka nje, wanataka kuharibu Tanzania. And they will run Tanzanians. You are a Tanzanian, you know how Tanzanians believe in their president. They will forget about this. A few men in Dar es Salaam, Mtwara, Morogoro, Tanga, Dodoma, Mwanza, Arusha can make noise. But the rest of the rural areas, walai ya Mungu, hakuna noise. Mimi nakwambia ya haki. Watasema CCM tuendelee. And that's the good thing of democracy in Tanzania. But I'm not saying this because I am siding with autocratic. Let me say this so that Miriam can look at me nicely, because she's not, her eye is showing that she's not happy with me. Mama, I don't like autocratic leadership. I agree with you. Umeona? I agree with you very much. It's very dangerous. When it came, I want to give you time so that you can ask our guest.
Time is way gone, but I think we can get the last word for more.
Yeah, about 2 minutes or 3 minutes, ask our guest, what's the situation of COVID-19?
Oh no, he can't say it. If you say it, that you'll be fined. I'm sure. Even the news.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Don't tell us.
We don't want to get him into trouble.
I will ask him. I will ask him on the phone. But look at Tanzania. Tanzania should not neglect its neighbors. I am more worried about the bad blood between Kenya and the Tanzania, and then Tanzania and the Rwanda and something like that. Please, if you want to go to SADC, go nicely. But leave us to pursue the dream of Nyerere. Nyerere said we are all together. This one boundary that was cut in 1884. We are together. Look at you and me. The only thing that changes the color is you are browner. But if the heads are the same, somebody can think in the Matanga part 2. So we are the same brothers.
Yeah.
Asante sana. That is my position. But elsewhere in Africa, elections produce violence. Babgo, ICC, has warned Mr. Ouattara. They wrote a letter yesterday. You saw that letter, Miriam?
Yes, they're monitoring the events.
Yes, they are monitoring. And every time in Kenya, and let me take this and swipe this, Miriam, so that people who are watching can listen. Every time in Kenya, when I tell people, let's finish work envelope. Have you seen how Babugo is on his way back to the, how Babugo will go back to the Hague? Have you seen? If this guy start fighting, the first person they will call point of call is Babugo.
But they disqualified him from the elections.
No,
he's not
the very reason that they disqualified him is the reason to lay a ground that he's the one fomenting chaos.
All right.
And they will take him. The French will take him. Because the French are not happy that he came back. So when I tell people here to remove work envelope, Miriam, nobody listens to me. And we are busy talking about 2022, running like a what?
Actually,
like
Doctor, if you still have your newspaper, I think the Star newspaper for Monday, or is it Daily Nation? There was a story there about ICC and Ruto's case. You can check it out. And I don't know, you are not, so we are not able to.
Mama, you sent it to me.
All right, I'll look for it, then I'll tell you. But thank you so much.
ICC,
also, Guinea has been.
Says what?
Yes, there was a letter from Bensouda in regards to Ruto going to the ICC, and he's saying that's not. It's quite an interesting story. On Monday, it must be either the Star. I'll look for it and then I'll let you know, because I know you still have the papers there. Also, Gidi has been put on notice, but I'd like, for the interest of time, our guest to finish for us. What are your expectations and the outcome of this election, and what do you wish for Tanzania? Mr. Lute.
Yeah. As Dr. Mashanga has indicated and said that we need a peaceful process, and now since the results are now coming, we might experience some kind of violence in some places in Tanzania. And also, I'm calling upon the people to remain calm and also to not to engage into some sort of violence, because at the end of the day, if we are destroying our country. And also I'm calling upon we had a process, the constitutional review process. Also, we needed to continue to that process in order to have a new constitution that will address these gaps, and also to have a credible institution to run the election and the other things within the country. Thank you.
Dr. Severin Alute there from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. I think it will be fair for the rest of our panelists to just take a few seconds to give us a final word.
But before, don't remind them, Miriam, remind them about Ginny.
Now?
Ginny Conakry. Elections. Ginny Conakry is on fire.
Yes, and as I said there, ICC has already served notice to Guinea. Also, they're monitoring the events. But on what we've been looking at today, Kidi, your final thoughts?
My final thoughts is that I will permit me to quote the words of Martin Luther King Jr. That change does not roll on the wheels of inevitability, and the people of Tanzania must come out to ensure that they put in place the government that they want. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Also, Karanja from Nanyuki. Karanja, your final thoughts?
Okay, thank you very much. And what I want to say is that as African continent, we need to have an electioneering process that reflects the will of the people. These half-cooked elections that produce men of unreputable character. That is what is ailing our African continent. And I wish going forward we need to work for laws that protect us, not the laws that praise and massage egos of our predecessors who are our colonizers. Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you so much, and I'm sure Professor has since left. Doctor, we leave
now.
No,
he's there.
Oh, Professor, would you like to give your final thoughts?
Professor Nyari? I don't want to lose his chance, but mine is not too much now. Any opposition in Africa should boycott bad elections. That's my word. And guess what? That's what I've told these men in Kampala. If you leave a dictator to vote by himself, with himself, for himself, he will be embarrassed. But once you take part in it, Mr. Lusu, Tudu Lusu, now you have tied yourself, legitimized the dictatorship. A good opposition should just surrender. You see, when you see, boss, ndugu yangu, Chadema waliona mawe iko mbele. Mawe, tena mlima iko kubwa sana. Kwa nini? They boycotted the civic elections, isn't it?
Yeah.
They should have boycotted. They should have boycotted. Then you live, there you have legitimacy. But you cannot go in the ring and then you are being beaten, boxed down. Then you come back and say, I lost. When you know the laws, Mimi, yo. That's what I've told opposition. Even I've told Bob Wine. I've told Besige, don't call me. Don't call me at all on this. Because I'm a different animal. I was only born in Uganda, but I'm different. I don't like to hear. If I were them, I'd just sit at home. Have you seen what Nigerians did? The Igbo, the Biafrans. Do you see, Miriam, you saw what the Biafrans did? 54 million Biafrans did not vote out of 84 million. Have you seen the regime collapsing? It lacks legitimacy. But the moment you vote, then you come out saying, walikuwa wanataka kunigonga, walinigonga, walinipiga mawe, walinipiga chichwa, nobody is going to listen. Lawyer knows that. Prevent the accident before it happens. Don't go into the accident and come back to look for a lawyer. Necessity has no law. Even Jesus said if it is necessary to jump into a pit rattling on Sunday to remove your child, don't you jump into the pit rattling, however deep it is. So why do you go for an election which you know is killed? Leave it. Civic, leave, sit at home. There is no law in Tanzania that said if you don't vote, they will beat you up. No. It's voluntary. So in the future, my type of opposition, like me, that's how I think. And that's why I told Besigye, get out, keep off, allow events to play. They will find you a happy man. Let people come to you for advice, but not to be mingled in the whole circus of a scientific election, which is imaginary near Angel Gabriel. I close my case.
Thank you. And you closed the show as well. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you, Dr.
I hope I've pleased Miriam a bit.
Miriam is so hungry. She wants to go for lunch. Thank you so much,
Okay,
Doctor.
Doctor, thank you very much. Yes.
And thank you, Professor.
Let her do the talking on my behalf.
And thank you, Professor Nyari. Thank you, Jevan Karanja. Thank you, Kidi Mwanga. And indeed, thank you so much, Dr. David Matanga, there, and our guest there, as I said, from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. My name is Miriam Gutu. We'll see you later. Bye-bye for now.
Yeah.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.